Hey, for those of you who are just joining us and are not familiar with the stream, this is the DominateDominion.com League of Legends Dominion Tournament number 69. This is going to be our first game of the night. It's going to be a round of 16 game. We do 10 bans in the format that we use. We do 4 in the in-game client, the lobby client that you are seeing here, and then we do the additional 6 at the champion select screen. We decided that we were going to ban out 10% of all champions, and at the time that we decided upon that, there were only like 109 or something like that. So that's how we ended up with 10. 10% of 109 is, well, okay, there's a decimal, but we cut off the decimal because we don't believe in that, because fractions are much more specific and easier to do math with. It looks like our first band is going to be Caston, followed by Mash GE, and then Kha'Zix, and they're leaving us hanging on that fourth band.
Shaco.
Ooh. Okay, Caston, Yi, Kha'Zix, Shaco are going to be the chat bands here. Also, if anyone remembers after the stream, I need to get a hold of Golly from Why Golly Lie. I need to get a hold of Zamike from whatever team he's playing on now. I need to get a hold of DominateDominion's The Feed Ski as well. And anybody else that lives in Texas and wants to hang out. Might be going to a concert next weekend. Would be cool to hang out with some people there from the Dominion community. More info on that later on, as it's not particularly relevant to the broadcast. If I hit the friends list cap, I'm sorry, guys. I'm pretty close to it right now. So we are at the champion select screen now. It's going to be in the Dallas area. A friend of a friend is actually the singer for a band that's playing there. So we wanted to go support him, and I know there's a lot of cool people in Texas, so I figured it might be an opportunity to go out of town and hang out with my friends on my birthday weekend. Because my birthday's on the 19th. So it looks like Nidalee, Singed, and Amumu also being banned as well. Nidalee has amazing long-range poke, brings sustain to her team. Amumu has a lot of AoE damage, he has good crowd control. Also, Singed and Teemo. Singed makes for a great dive, very durable hero, very sustainable. Teemo, the blind is great, his map control is good. Jace, nice long-range poke, has some percent damage as well. Good brawler, good range champion. Very difficult to deal with because he's a quick character that can stay active and mobile on the map. And Jax being the last ban. Jax, a character whose damage can get carried away late game. Tends to be a little squishy early game, but the longer the game goes on, the more dangerous Jax gets. Counter attack is a good stun, but it's really his damage dueling potential that you want to use Jax for. Not as high a priority ban as we used to see, but he's still a very threatening champion. Kassadin, Kha'Zix were banned at the champion flex screen. Kassadin has extreme mobility, long duration silence, and a very good slow. As well as Kha'Zix, who is a character with a lot of burst damage, was also banned. And they banned Shaco as well in the champion flex screen. Seeing Wukong picked up first.
Blockers. Okay.
Yeah, I got him.
Cool.
Wukong, who has an armor reduction and AoE airborne. We're seeing Rammus and Pantheon. Rammus and Pantheon, very good combination. Puncturing Taunt, which reduces their armor. Synchronized as well with any other AD champion. Pantheon, global map presence because of Grand Skyfall. Durable, brings a stun to the table. Very nice kit. And Rammus also has a lot of movement speed and very durable character. Also has an AoE airborne, so watch out for that. You guys in the chat, if you have any questions about the broadcast, about the game mode, about anything, feel free to ask, and we will answer it for you. If we, the commentators, cannot do it because our voice is needed to do something else, Moloko Dude in the chat absolutely loves questions. And there's a lot of high elo players in there as well, like Half-Hearted, who may be able to help you out. And as the tournament goes on, when people get eliminated, we'll start to see more of those high-level players in the chat being able to talk to you guys.
That's because they'll get eliminated by all of the not-so-high-level players, and they won't have to play anymore, right?
Yes. That's exactly what happened. This is going to be Upset City. I'm going to click on what support will PM me, because I've been debating this. I'm whether to just close it and just deny him on camera, like really hard. Or, he knows I'm on camera. So I feel like this is going to be safe to click. Let's see if I get banned from Twitch or not. Oh. Mad Supportal, aka Zamike. He's an awesome guy. What's up, Nerdoc in the chat? Thanks for checking out the broadcast. Are you competing this week, or are you just hanging out? Looks like we also have... There we go. We had Vi and Sejuani locked in. Sejuani. Post-rework Sejuani. Great crowd control now. Good soak. And it's just, Sejuani's great. Vi has an armor reduction as well. Now, Vi Wukong can be a very dangerous combo because of their armor reduction working with each other.
So Jarvan is still left open. I'd like to see a Jarvan pick by one of the two teams, because when you have, like, they have nothing ranged right now. I actually don't even know which team is which or what teams are playing, but the blue team right now is 5 melee if they actually lock all of this in. And if they don't get a single ranged champion on their team, Jarvan is going to be insanely effective against that. Actually, there's not a single ranged champion in this game so far. I would love to see a Lulu pick. Lulu is also available. Just because the Lulu ultimate really good against melee champions. She'll be able to see Wukong during his stealth with her health picks, and she has Glitter Lance for good kiting. And it's true that when you don't have ranged champions, you don't need to peel for any ranged champions, but Gangplank's still probably going to want to be building. Gangplank and Pantheon both are going to be want to be building very high damage, and so get a Jarvan to. I don't know. Jarvan I don't think would be the best pick here. He would probably just not help against the Wukong ult, but Lulu would be really good, I think. We actually might have a game with 10 melee champions. I don't think I've ever casted a game with 10 melee champions before.
You seem really excited about Jarvan there.
Jarvan is
See,
really good.
one of your favorite characters?
He's not, but he's incredibly strong on this map.
I can't check the PMs during the broadcast, guys, except for known, trusted sources of people that have been around the broadcast for a while, so don't get mad if I click it off. Just hit me up after the stream, guys. So look at some of the other characters that were locked in here. Over the other side, we're seeing Yorick and Gangplank. Yorick has very good sustain. He's really useful at the bottom lane. Gangplank's champion that we don't see very often because he tends to suffer from kiting a little bit. Doesn't really have too powerful of a ranged ability. He has kind of good poke from Parlay, but it's very, very short range. A little bit of global map presence with his ultimate, but it doesn't come into play too often. It is very, very good for denying points for a while. It's just, Gangplank is difficult to engage and escape with, because even though he does have the ability to clear slows, there's a lot of things that can slow and crowd control him, so you have to worry about that. And seeing Maokai as well. Maokai's been a competitive champion for basically ever. We've probably seen as much Maokai as we've seen Jarvan. He's been around that long and is that much of a staple in this game mode because he gives amazing durability to team fights. His crowd control's good. His poke is great. Everything about him is pretty solid. I see a couple people like asking in the chat, and Rheingold, you said something same to the effect of, where are the ranged champions? Well, when you're dealing with Wukong Sejuani, that's a lot of crowd control. You can dive that point and keep them shut down and sweep them off of it. However, both teams tend to be pretty tanky and durable. So you know what I see? I see not a lot of fighting on points happening at all. Because you want to poke people off, you want to use poke to defend on points. When you have a comp that does not have poke in it, you want to get into engagements off the point, where you can get into a position to engage on. And so there's going to be a lot of positional play in the middle of the map, is what we're probably going to see here, since you don't have a lot of... there's just not a lot of poke going on. You guys are absolutely right. I mean, outside of maybe a like Parlay and Spear Shot, but their range is so short that they're really not going to be able to do a lot for that.
Yeah, and it is daunting to pick squishier range champions when you're up against the dive of Vi, the dive of Wukong, the dive of Sejuani, and then the burst damage from Evelynn. But there's just so many range champions that have amazing zone control. Like, you pick up maybe a Zyra. She has her Stranglethorns for peel for herself and the rest of her team. Her melee plants will get that slow off her range plants, a lot of damage. And just with no way of really sieging a point, no way of denying... And the other thing is that there's not so much of a way of denying them from coming up to your team when you're holding on to a point. The only way that they can do it is really to brawl. And so if you get a little bit behind and you don't have anything ranged at all, it's going to be a really snowbally game, I think.
Important thing to note about Gangplank is that he can clear Nass's Wither. So he's not going to get a Wither thrown on him this game very often, if at all. A Rebel Dragon, I'm pretty sure, is going to be taking Nasus down to the bottom lane. I'm pretty sure she's the bottom laner. for her team whenever she's on one. She's been competing for... Rebel Dragon's actually been a competitive player for almost a year. That's pretty cool. A lot of us are coming up on our 1-year anniversary as players or other things in this game mode, which is kind of cool. And that's why I'm really excited for the Day of Dominion on September 26th. And I see not a lot of magic damage from either team, either. Evelyn and Maokai. That's about it. You could go something completely absurd, like AP Nasus, but probably not. So this is going to be a lot of... We're going to see a lot of armor. We're going to see a lot of... What's that called? We're going to see a lot of positional play in the middle of the map. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup to watch. It's probably going to be a slugfest throughout.
Yeah. And that's just what they have to do. The thing I'm noticing is that... I believe, so it's Why So Serious versus Galactic Protocol, and I think Galactic Protocol is the red team. I think.
Why So Serious is... I can tell you once we hit the loading screen, and I get a chance to intro the game. Yes, there's a LeBlanc guide on the internet by Generic. I believe it's actually on... Whoa, I forgot to change my screen resolution. Oh, this is awkward looking on my monitor. You guys can't see it. Maybe you can. But this happened. Going into the loading screen, it's going to be Why So Serious versus Galactic Protocol.
Yes.
Why So Serious is going to be the team on the left side. The blue team is going to be Sakura Ono playing as Evelyn, Zanaro playing as Sejuani, Weeks1 playing as Wukong, Denz Bruja playing as Vi, and Rebel Dragon playing as Nasus. I am one half of your commentators. I am Gandair, and co-commentating with me this week is...
I'm RheingoldRiver, and the other half of your players is going to be Galactic Protocol. They are the red team. It is Speedy on York, Cheapkill playing Pantheon, Spartan 188 on Rammus, U-Skull on Gangplank, and rounding out their team composition, it is Nighthawk 185 on Maokai. And not a single combat summoner for any member of Galactic Protocol. Not one exhaust, not one ignite, and a lot of mobility from the 3 ghosts, and then going with 2 garrisons. Probably it'll be Yorick or Maokai in the bot lane, so a garrison for the bot lane, garrison for the top lane, and just going for super mobility with their team comp and summoners.
I'm going to talk about Revive really quickly here at the loading screen. Where's my button for that at? Here we go. This is a week out of date now, unfortunately, but this will give you a basic idea about the Summoner spell. This is a really useful spell because it puts you back on the map sooner, and it gives you movement speed increase, which gets you back into the fight quicker. So you die, you can return to the fight a long time before anyone else's reinforcements show up. It gives you bonus health. Most competitive games played have teams that use 8 or more revives in them. Teams that don't have revives win very rarely against teams that do. And in the bottom lane, guess what? Revive, you don't lose that tower if you have it. Your point will not get neutral, because if you die in an engagement in the bottom lane, you can revive, you can get back down there, you can save that tower, and you do not have to bring your reinforcements from the top down there. Mobility boots, swiftness, guess what? We're not worried about the movement speed very much at all. Durability and delay are the 2 biggest things in this game mode to worry about. So you see a lot of Merc Treads. Merc Treads is probably the most prevalent of all of the boots that are built in Dominion. Then after that, you see, usually, you'll see Sork shoes on the APs, and then you'll see Ninja Tabbies. Very, very rarely do you see the other boot types built at all. So, the tenacity is very, very useful because there's a lot of skirmishes and little engagements, and you really want that tenacity, and that's the easiest item to get it on. If you're an AP, you're more likely to go Sork shoes into the Spellblade for the tenacity because, I mean, that's great. People love it. And it still allows you to get that pen from the boot slot. So, outside of that, Ninja Tabbies, yeah, assuming that you are ranged.
Evelyn
However,
would not be doing that.
If you aren't ranged, you can still get the other stats, just not the tenacity, which is interesting to note. So I think we have everyone everyone has loaded. Looks like so we're just waiting for the screen to kick over. This is, I believe, the first time Zanaro has actually competed in a Dominate Dominion event. He historically has not been available on Saturdays to play. Zanaro has been very, very helpful in the community for, you know, moderating and organizing and things like that, and just being a useful, cool guy. Let me change my resolution here real quick. Let's do this right. There we are. Ta-da! Let's turn on this KDA. Let's take a look at these starting items that we have here. Nothing out of the ordinary, it seems. At the moment, we have a lot of boots, potions, prospector's items. Looks like Ram is going for mobility boots. There are a couple of champions that mobility boots can be useful on. In particular, those champions are Zillion, Rammus, Shaco, occasionally Singed, and occasionally Eve Talon. But those last three, it's very, very rare to see it. It's only happened a couple times each one. And the only way that you will actually get your boots, the only way you'll actually get use out of your boots 5, which is the boots mobility that gives you the +5 enhanced movement, or does it still say? Well, they changed it to actual numbers instead of enhanced movement 1, 2, etc.
Yeah.
But the only way you get
5.
use out of the boots 5 is that you have to be roaming for most of the game. If you are not roaming, your boots purchase is worthless. So you need to be very, very active on the map. We're seeing Rammus going for the immediate stopping there to capture that. Now, there's some debate
That's
over
really
who you want.
interesting.
There's a little bit of debate over who you want to capture that middle point. Usually you want someone who doesn't have poke to do it, because they will catch up to the windmill fight and then put their poke to use there. Or you want the second fastest person to get there, so the first fastest gets up to the top to interrupt the other guy. Or you want the fastest because he can recover quicker. Different situations do different things, but usually it's whoever's lacking poke. Fight breaks out at the top.
And there is a stun to Sidrani initially, but Pantheon is now ignited very, very low, trying to get out. Superior with quite a bit of damage. Exhaust onto Pantheon. He's going to block one last auto attack and will go down. The taunt onto Evelyn. She is going to fall. Zenaro is getting kind of low. Weeks does capture the point, actually. Smart now being forced out. There's the E forward from Wukong. Gets one kill. Nighthawk trying to get the kill onto Zenaro. Won't be able to. And he is going to go down. The windmill fight going down to Why So Serious.
And in control of that point, without poke, there's no way they can easily force them off it unless they just group up and go for a fight. Now, Rammus here doing something that is useful in this particular situation. Without poke, he wants to draw people away from that top point to create an imbalanced fight for his teammates to get involved in. And oh, that feel when you're driving through the jungle and you crash into somebody invisible.
There was a Wukong there, and he is just going to take about a third of his HP and then walk out. Nighthawk was trying to get the top point, but not going to be able to. Gangplank with a little bit of poke gets jumped on by Vi. I don't really think they're going to be able to take this very easily. They have a pretty big stack building up, but there's decent wave clear from Sidrani Wukong. We'll see if they're able to. Pantheon does have his block to soak up the tower if he needs to. There's the Arctic Assault from Sidrani. Useful is just too low to really be doing anything. Nimbus Strike from Wukong. Clone does a little bit of damage, and looks like they're going to be able to save the windmill. No, it goes neutral.
Now with a neutral point, they could engage on this, but not at the health that they have currently. Bottom lane, a little bit of action there. Rammus and Eve move down to that portion of the map. Eve intercepting Rammus, who attempted to back capture during part of it. And you see them using the Omen of Death on Rammus, him being taken down, but still alive with the Omen of Death to prevent Eve from being able to neutral that point. Yorick going to revive and move back down to stop that from happening. And oh dear, Sakuriono! He escapes because he's stealth.
He's going to be fine. The Shadow Walk, so useful for Evelyn. It's pretty much what makes her Evelyn. Careful, cheap kill. You're getting surrounded by absolutely everyone, but your Pantheon, you might be okay. He's going to actually just jump forward. There's the ult from Wukong. He is level 6. Gangplank ult comes down, but a double kill for Vi. And Nighthawk getting chased down by Sakuriono. One more Q, and he will be dead. There's a twisted advance. Doesn't really do anything.
Rammus' presence here is going to stop them from being able to capture that point. They really can't dive Rammus on a point. Diving Rammus while he's on a point, not very smart. Other champions that it's very bad to do that against are characters like Maokai and Alistar, who can just delay for an extremely long time. It's best to defeat them somewhere else before going for it. Now, they didn't leave anyone at the windmill. Rammus is going to go for that immediately in that part of the map. Sejuani should be able to get there in time to stop this. Yes, is going to keep that from happening. Pantheon going to come down with the Grand Skyfall.
Sidrani decently tanky, actually building for a Hextech Super there, so a little bit of AP will get There's the Arctic Assault. Gets jumped on. Why did he leave so far away from the point? But the rest of his team is there, and that is why he did. Aegis protection blocking a little bit of damage from Pantheon, but not blocking us from going into a pause timer. Looks like Yorick having a few connection issues. But Rammus, he's just going to be back during the entire game with those mobility boots, and it's pretty much going to be the story of the rest of the game.
Without Rammus in the fights, if he's going to stay active on the map and force people away by applying pressure elsewhere on the map, then they're going to have to rely on Maokai to engage the fights that they would get into. And, well, it's a little bit too early in the game to determine where they're going with their builds at this point, but Maokai with the Pro Ring, if they're going for a little bit more of an AP Mao, then they're going to need that Rammus up there for the disruption. But we will have to see how that goes once a few more items are purchased.
I have the Mana Rune already finished by Yorick. I know that the tier stacks differently on Dominion from Summoner's Rift, but I'm not exactly sure what the difference is.
I also do not remember it off the top of my head because I very rarely build tier on anything.
So you got plus 8 mana per charge. And it's the same amount of max mana. So that'll stack a little bit faster on the Crystal Scar, so we'll see Yorick picking up that. And once he gets the Mana Rune, that'll be a pretty decent power spike for him. Still no boots, not even boots 1 completed by him, whereas every other person in the game actually has at least boots 1.
Yeah, you can...
on Nasus.
You can hang out on the boots 1 for a little while. It's comp dependent. I don't know all the nuances on it yet. I sort of have to update the video on boots, because we did a video on boots in Dominion once quite a while ago. Unfortunately, it's out of date now since a few patches in the boot enchants had happened. We're going to be alternating through the different Spirit Guard Udyr screens. We don't actually have the different ones. I'm not a fan of the bear one, I prefer the turtle one, but that's the overlay that was given to me. Dory Vita V's, we would not say that. I do not encourage that. And looks like we have a reconnect.
Yep, looks like we do have Speedy back into the game. He was dead, so that's pretty much the best time to disconnect, is when you're already dead. Possible that he died because he DC'd, but I don't think that's what happened.
And game is going to come back in a couple of moments. And Pantheon going to be defeated by Wukong, coming immediately back from that pause. Gangplank recalling the lower half of the map, and while Yorick was dead, you're going to see Vi and Nasus come down to claim this bomb point. Now, this is the quest objective point. It's going to do extra damage to the enemy's Nexus. It's also going to give them a 10% damage buff as well. See Gangplank moving down here immediately and running away. Just one hit away from that armor break, and Nasus would love some of that armor break. If you look at the damage, not the damage, the armor reduction from that team, Spirit Fire, you have Vi as well, and you also have Wukong. I'm getting swept away from the point now with the members coming back from Galactic Protocol's side. Rebel Dragon doing her best to defend for as long as she can, but that close to the enemy's base, it's very easy for them to just move out and unseat you from that point.
Yeah, but that was absolutely worth it. They lost overall 1 kill. It was a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Galactic Protocol. But Why So Serious picking up the objective, picking up the quest, and the other 3 members will hold on to that buff for meantime. And there's engage onto Speedy. He's going to get exhausted and probably fall here. No moment of death available even. Nighthawk with the Vengeful Maelstrom doing a little bit of damage reduction. Taunt onto Sejuani under tower, taking a little bit of damage, but she's decently tanky already. Having the Kindle Gem and Giant Spell, giving her a good amount of HP.
Gangplank now in the bottom part of the map, using that Spirit Fire. Eve throwing down the ultimate over the wall is going to close in on him as well. A lot of damage on Gangplank. Gangplank is going to have to just straight retreat. He can't even try to fight that under the tower at the moment. Yorick engages Eve, dives through to interrupt Nasus. That's what you want to do in that situation. You want to stop them from capturing as soon as possible. But Exhaust and Wither are going to really shut down Yorick. Yorick pops the Omen of Death, and that's why Yorick is such a powerful bottom lane hero.
In top lane, we had a Glacial Prison onto 3 people, and Gangplank did put his ult down on top of the fight, but it wasn't quite enough. It was 2 kills, 4-0 going over Why So Serious, and Nighthawk going to get ignited. Will be able to survive, but the windmill's still being held there by Why So Serious.
Maokai was able to connect with his airborne and discourage Wukong from being able to close in. Gangplank back once again in the bottom lane. And Vi hanging out in the middle of the map, waiting for her allies. She grew up with her. Looks like Weeks 1 is going to find Rammus. And there's the decoy right off the bat. Pantheon coming around from the bottom, throws a stun on Curiono. And Galactic Protocol starts retreating back towards their tower.
Pantheon with a good amount of damage from that E. And Zanaro is going to be forced off at about a 30 HP right now. But they're okay with that. Nasus, meanwhile, is just dominating Gangplank in the bot lane. Doesn't even matter whether Speedy gets jumped on now. There's a knockup onto Pantheon, and he's probably going to go down. Tries to channel the E for just a little bit, but can't really get it off at all. Rammus is, of course, backdooring, as he will be the entire game. Has a very nice creep wave that got built up over there. Slow pushes are OP, guys. They are OP on every single map.
Now, Rammus was able to get away and take the bottom point. However, with the Boneyard still uncontested, or unclaimed, by either team, then Nexus Health is not going down in either team's direction at the moment. They're going to try and get the quick cap on that before Pantheon is able to arrive. They are going to be able to interrupt Nasus, but not Wukong, so the point gets turned over in Why So Serious' favor. On the left side of the map, Rammus attempting to back cap there, but Sejuani is on that, and Eve is responding to Maokai up in the upper part of the map.
So in a game like this, when you're against a Rammus with mobility boots, do you want to buy a lot of mobility yourself so that you can catch up to him, or are you going to be more focused on diving turret and forcing 5v4 fights elsewhere?
You don't really need to buy speed in response to it. You just to be able to tag your speed shrine, go over to a point. Because of the delay that it takes to begin capping a point at all, it's easy to get there to interrupt it, as long as you're aware that that's something that he may be doing and position yourself accordingly.
So we just expect to see people a little bit more grouped to the middle of the map against a back cap strategy like this?
Usually one person held back a little bit away from the fight, so they can respond to the backfield if they need to, or join the fight, whichever one is going to be more advantageous to the team at the time.
Alright, so look out for that. Meanwhile, we do have the Boneyard will be going back over to Galactic Protocol, and Rammus cannot be caught up to. He's just going to go ahead and queue out. But we actually have Evelyn is now the one backdooring. She's going to get jumped on by a Grand Scalp from Pantheon. She's going to W out.
Evelyn, because of her movement speed, and with that Hextech Sweeper for the additional movement speed on top of that, does make her a threat at being able to move over and try to back cap enemy points. But oh dear, that puncturing taunt, very, very powerful, takes a lot of damage as a result. Glacial Prison slow, Eve able to back off, caught by the Twisted Advance, unfortunately. Curiono is going to be shut down by Pantheon.
And there is the Cyclone on top of the Cam Barrage from Gangplank, but it is a double kill for Wukong. Wukong is a champion that he's usually banned. We almost never actually get to cast him. And you're seeing right now just exactly why that is. He is doing just so much for his team right now.
The bottom part of the map, Speedy once again pushed back up against the tower. Let's see, with the Siphoning Strike maxed first on Nasus this time. Sometimes we see Spirit Fire first in the bottom lane, but not this particular time. Over by the Speed Shrine near the drill, it's Vi and Eve out closer towards the enemy team, responding towards Gangplank and Rammus up near the top part of the map.
Assault and Battery was down onto Gangplank there. Locket did get popped. There's the exhaust onto Rammus. It will be enough to take down Vi, but Eve coming around from the backside for the flank. Blackfire Torch down onto Gangplank there. He's going to try and get out. Looks like he will be fine picking up the Hull Shrine there. Have on with a couple Qs. Wukong does get the kill onto Maokai. Exhaust onto Pantheon. Here's Securiona trying to kite backwards. And they still keep the windmill, trading 1-for-1 there. Bot lane, Nasus again diving down, this time onto Yorick. Popped the Fury of the Sands there, but he has no mana for a Spirit Fire or even a Siphoning Strike. And he's just going to be forced off the point. Rammus does finally go down to Sejuani topside. And it looks like we're just going to reset.
Yeah, Gangplank with the Iceborne Gauntlet means he's going to be able to slow pretty effectively if he can get in touch with someone using Parlay, and that Iceborne Gauntlet effect can be very, very useful. It's something that you see on Gangplanks from time to time. In that last engagement, we saw Zanaro Sejuani hang back by the Speed Shrine, responding very, very well to Rammus in the bottom lane, moving down there to stop him and secure that kill.
And speaking of response, they saw Pantheon and they killed Pantheon. and Pantheon is now dead. He will have his Grand Skyfall when he respawns, and he actually has his revive available. See, he uses Punching Taunt Lance, but so much damage, and crowd control comes across into Sejuani. They get the kill on Maokai. Vi is still alive. Finally, Yorick does get the kill. He has his Omen of Death behind him, but he did fall there. There is Rammus trying to get out. Is the Q. Pantheon Grand Skyfall in. He did use his revive. I think, yeah, he did use his revive just now. So not going to have that later. Evelyn is chasing him, Sejuani right behind. We'll see if he can land. There's the knockup, and they should be able to get this. It takes so long to kill Pantheon because of his passive, but eventually they are able to make it. Rammus in the top lane. He has to recall, though. He's too low to really dive anything. Big creep wave is available for Maokai, but Evelyn is going to be coming for a flank behind. There she comes in, and Maokai is going to go down.
That's that magic buying him just another extra second before he was defeated, not able to secure the neutral on that tower. Bottom point being defended by Rammus and Yorick as Nasus and Sejuani were down in that area of the map. You see these three Youmuu's Ghost Blades on all of our armor reduction champions there. They really are going anti-armor pretty hard this game. Yorick able to defeat Vi, and now Rammus being chased away by Nasus is going to retreat in the opposite direction, dragging Nasus away from his tower as a result of that. If you are engaged in the bottom lane, you fall back towards the enemy tower. If they are able to kill you, that will not put them immediately in a position where they can capture yours because they're on the wrong side of the map.
And Rammus getting a little bit caught out into the middle of the map. Like you were saying, mobility boosts do absolutely nothing for you while you're in combat. They are just boosts too. There's the knockup, and Sejuani with the kill again.
And Zanaro doing a very good job with Sejuani so far this game. Bottom lane, there's going to be a push from Gangplank and Yorick on this bottom tower, and they do not have a lot of time left to pick up a neutral in order to stall out this game, and they're not going to do it in this bottom engagement. Rammus should be able to accomplish that on the top part of the map, as there's no one even remotely close to be able to stop. Looks like Vi and Wukong moving around for the Boneyard. Looks like they're going to trade top for map position in the bottom part of the map.
Yeah, and this is like the sort of other options that you just dive when you have the numbers advantage. Rammus had to use his revive to get top lane. He's not going to be able to get bot, and that's just a lot of crowd control. You do have a defensive garrison being used. Gangplank trying to come in, trying to do whatever he can. There is a 3-cap right now in favor of Galactic Protocol. If they can hold this, they are okay, but Rebel Dragon actually taken very, very low. Going to heal a little bit from that lifesteal passive. Gangplank has so much damage, but the lifesteal and the minions. Gangplank does get the kill. Ultimately, Zanara going to be able to get the counter cap. Almost Grand Skyfall coming in from Pantheon, and that's going to be enough. We have 3 creeps here. Can they finish the cap? And they get it. 3 cap goes back over to Why So Serious. Evelyn in the top lane going to be able to get the windmill.
And Zanaro does not even have to try to delay that, because at the upper part of the map, Evelyn, when she left the fight in the bottom lane, moved up towards the top part of the map to respond to Rammus, seeing that he had been there to capture the windmill in the first place, knew that the refinery was open. Eve went up there to respond. Wukong followed up. They were able to kick Rammus off that point and keep him away from it. Now with Eve on the top part of the map defending it from any counter pushes, this bottom lane engagement is going to be what decides the game.
Yeah, and this bottom lane engagement already you can see is just being completely destroyed by Why So Serious. They had so much AoE damage there. I don't think Wukong even used his Cyclone there. It's not even available for him. He picked up a double kill, and it's a 5 for 0 ace there. Perfect ace for Why So Serious. 4 points remain. They're not even going to have time to get the 5 cap. It is Why So Serious moving on to the next round.
And the game with a 3 2/2 cap against the enemy team. And they're going to advance on to the round of 8. Very good showing by Why So Serious, and very good showing from Zanaro. Zanaro Sejuani going 11-1-21 that game. That means Zanaro was in a lot of the fights that occurred on the map throughout the game. So very good presence from his Sejuani. Nice to see him out here in competition. Good job weeks 1 as well, going 11-0-14 on Wukong. Excellent showing from that team.
Didn't even get to use his revive that game.
No, man. If you don't die, you don't need revive. So unfortunately, he was not able to benefit from that extra health. But had he died, he could have come back to life in less than a second and still had no time spent dead. That's another important thing to have. That's another interesting statistic.
Very true.
So you can get into. Take a look at the post-game lobby screen. And let's take a look at damage dealt in that game and find out who the most painful champions were on Eve. out ahead of the rest of her team, about 7,000 damage more from the person who is in second place, who was Sejuani, coming in second place to an Eve with a Sejuani. Not bad at all. That's very good, especially coming out so far in front of Wukong and Nasus. With all that armor reduction, seeing Eve and Sejuani out in front, doing that magic damage, pretty useful. If they're going to build armor against your armor comp, why not build what they don't have a defense against? Pretty good strategy there. And let's take a look at time spent dead. Let's see who is the graveyard hero this game. Oh dear. Look at these. Look at these time spent dead. 2, 0, 8. That's rough. That revive, very, very useful. And looks like the graveyard hero this game is actually going to be Vi by a single second. So we're going to go ahead and go on into the next game here. Be right back with you as soon as I get that lobby set up. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to bring you that round of 8 game.